Hey guys, today I'm going to show you my logo redesign process in redoing a logo that I did about 10 years ago. This logo wasn't originally done for a client, it was just a kind of fun creative project for me, so there were no real parameters. It was for a fitness and nutrition company, since those things have always been interests of mine. I called the company Encore because it had the word core in it, and that was about it. I just liked that word. So being that there were no real original guidelines, I've decided that now this fake company of mine would be a fitness and nutrition app, which wouldn't really have worked 10 years ago anyway, but now would totally be a thing. So usually I'll start a logo design with pencil and paper, as you generally should, but since this was a redesign and I wanted to make a video out of the whole process, I decided it would be easier to do everything in Illustrator. Also, I often find myself coming up with more creative solutions in Illustrator than I do with pencil anyway, just because that's, what I'm used to, although that certainly depends on the project. To begin, I just wanted to get some initial design ideas down, the super basic stuff, like just writing out the company name and seeing what comes from that, playing around with different letter forms, using the E and the N and the C and just all the different letters, seeing what I can kind of create with that. For the word encore specifically, I kind of feel like on and core are two separate pieces of the word. So I figured, maybe I could do something with the on and then the core separately. Or in, this example on co-re, which doesn't really make sense, but it looks pretty cool. So I wanted to see if I could do something with that, something in a box, something in a circle, super basic, just getting ideas out there. Not necessarily looking at the original logo for, ideas, but obviously that one is a bit closer to the original logo than other ones. But I did kind of want to stick with a similar idea, even though the original logo didn't really have any, reason for existing or reason for why it looks that way, other than I just wanted to play with the cool letter forms that I used. So yeah, this one was pretty open-ended, and I just wanted to see what I could do with this logo and where I could take it. So here I wanted to see if I could play around with a shape that better represented the word core itself, since that's basically what I'm seeing for this logo is the emphasis is on the core, or on your core as you work out to this fitness app essentially. So now I'm making some more artboards because obviously I'm going to have a lot on here, so I need some more room. So again, playing with the circles, playing with the letter forms. Basically right now I'm just using the one single font that I liked, sticking it on there and seeing what I can do. And if I like any of those ideas later, then I might play around with the different font types. So here I am continuing on with the original idea of the encore with the giant O representing the core, although playing around a little bit more with that O specifically. Although I think here it might look a bit more like a bagel or a donut than it probably should for a fitness app. So yeah, I'm gonna see where this goes, but it's probably not gonna work out so well. I didn't really find that idea to be super great. So I, kept going on, seeing if capital letters worked any better, kind of distancing the on from the core part of it, which kind of works. I don't know if it represents fitness in a way that I want it to. It's got sort of a bold quality to it, but it's not quite, fitnessy as I want. The giant circle with the encore and capital letters is kind of nice. It looks a bit almost fashion-y, but I think that could work. Unfortunately, I think having the full word encore in such a small shape wouldn't really work for an app icon because you're not going to be able to read it. So maybe more of an icon would be a better idea, or making the letters, a lot bigger, like on and core, or even just an E and a C, for example. So I'm going to play around more with the circular shapes because I really do like the circle, as it was my original idea for the core part is a circle. It fits. So I kind of wanted to see if I could explore the idea of the core a bit more. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, I'm sorry, but it did, so deal with it. Encore, seeing what I can do. Yeah, it's at this point, it's the word encore just lost all meaning. So I went back and I wanted to see if I could play with this other shape of the two half circles. And I don't know, it reminds me of maybe another logo. I can't remember, but something in this shape I really liked, and I wanted to see if, if I could bring it around the logo in any way, or around the text rather, see if that would work. I liked the idea of having the two half circles on either side of the logo, although I don't like how that looks at all. The single half circle was kind of cool, and it sort of represented the C as well as a half circle, but then you lose the idea of the core itself. So I don't really think that works too well. And then I'm going back and playing more with the very sort of more like a simpler idea of separating the on-core from the actual O in core, and then separating out the on from the core. And seriously, it's just trying everything and seeing if anything comes from that. And even if all the ideas are total crap, you might have, something that inspires you to go on to the next stage. And really, that's just what you got to keep doing. You just keep working at it, and eventually you will get something good. But the word eventually is the key word here. So here I was playing around again with the O and the core, and this one looked a bit more, more space-like to me with the O and like it almost seemed maybe more like a target symbol too, which not really is something I'm going for. And now we've basically got the kudo O's, but didn't really want that either. So I'm going to keep going with the O's and the E's and seeing if I can maybe merge them together, because that would be kind of cool. Now I really like this shape that, the circle with the cut out of it, but it's not symmetrical, and I really liked that. So next I'm going to try and experiment a bit more, this time with the C shape instead of the E or the O, and see if I can put that in the logo and replace the C. And, if that works, then that's great, but, it doesn't really work, unfortunately, although I do like the C. So I'm going to try something else where I'm playing around with emphasis and, with the outlines of the text rather than a solid color. And I don't really like that either. So again, just playing around with a million different ways of doing this, trying with the capital letters, trying with different, different shades. Inevitably, I will have color in here, but for now, I'm just working in black and white and grayscale just to keep things really simple. Also, I'm terrible with picking colors, so that process will take way too long anyway. So here, again, I've got the O as the emphasis for the core shape. I'm just kind of playing around with different forms of how I can make the O and the circle kind of work within the logo there, or within the text. Lots and lots of different ways here, playing with ways of playing with the circle. Well, that just looks like an eyeball, so that's not really going to work. I'm really trying to get the shape or the idea of a core, which I'm not sure I have, yet at all, but that's why we keep trying. So now I'm going to move on to the E and see if I can create anything like an icon, for example, that works just as the E itself. So doing a large capital E, doing the lowercase e, making the E out of that shape. Well, that kind of looks like a plug or something. Not sure that's gonna quite work, but yeah, playing around with these forms usually is a really good starting point to get other ideas from. See, we've got an eel that kind of looks like a person on the side. It's not super fitnessy, but it does open some new ideas. And if you're wondering, this video is set at I think 600 times the speed, so it's definitely sped up, because otherwise the whole process is well over 2 hours, and you don't really need to see the slow version. You can figure out what's happening with this sped up, and then I don't need to talk for 2 solid hours, and it's so much easier. So now I think I'm starting to get a shape that I actually like. Primarily it's the E shape, which I think would work since it's the first letter in Encore, and I'm really just trying to play around with all the different ways an E could look that looks fitnessy, would work for an app, and I guess just is something I'm happy with. It takes me a long time to find something that I'm actually happy with, so this is gonna go on for a while, primarily just with this E, just on the billions and billions of different ways I can make this look good without, I don't know, without making it look not fitnessy. So again, it's just using that original circle shape, making it into an E, and then seeing what else I can do with that. With this one in particular, I've got, you know, the E in the middle, and then I have this C on the outside, which works for, you know, Encore. It's got the E and the C. Although I think this one kind of looks like a copyright symbol, so probably not going to go with that one, but I think it's a good place to go from, even though I think the white line in the center there is probably a bit thicker than I want it to be. So I'm going to see what else we've got with the same idea here. The same O, turning it into an E. Well, that's just a target sign. We're going to see if we can turn that into, I guess, basically the same thing, the E and the O, taking out the middle there. I'm still seeing the copyright sign. Now it's just a CC rather than a EC. Okay, now we're bringing in the E a bit. See, I kind of like that. It's very simple, but I think maybe having it a bit thicker might be a bit more fitnessy. You know, for fitness, I don't really want to see a fitness logo with, you know, very thin lines. It doesn't seem as strong as I would want in a fitness app logo. You want the strong lines, the boldness, and well, that's what I'm going for here. So now I'm experimenting with the rounded corners, or the rounded ends rather, just for a different look to see if that works at all, because sometimes, you know, it completely changes the look of a logo if you have the soft edges, the rounded lines and whatnot, to the hard geometric edges and lines. And it might not work, but it might, and I want to, you know, try absolutely everything. Problem is with this, it's very intricate work, so you want to make sure that everything aligns perfectly. Now, with all of these original, all of these ideas that I'm doing right now, these are by no means, you know, if I like one of them, it's not the final logo. Once I get to a place where I have a logo that I like, I'll redo it and make sure, you know, all the lines are perfect, they're all aligned, and I'll use a shape builder tool to make sure that everything is, you know, very precise. So this is super rough, just getting ideas down, similar to what you would do with a pencil and paper. But obviously not pencil and paper, just on screen, just all the bazillion different ideas I can get, trying all the very, very tiny variations of the logo and the E and the C, and seeing what I can do. See, I've thickened the line up a bit. Now I'm trying to see what it looks like when the line is a bit thinner, when it's super thick, when it's a bit more geometric, when the with the white circle on the inside is a bit smaller, which I definitely like a bit more. Now, my only issue with that one, the bold CE there, is that the shape on the inside kind of looks like a little hook. And then, yeah, see, I don't like that. I like, if you're gonna have a logo with, you know, sort of like a negative shape on the inside, it should relate to what you're doing. So that looks like a wrench. And this is not a hardware tools store or app, so that's not really going to work. If I have something on the inside, I want that negative shape to represent, you know, what the logo is. So now here I'm experimenting with having the E shape as more of like a capital letter E on the inside rather than a small e. I don't know if it'll work, but again, just trying it and seeing if it will. So right now I'm experimenting with all the different ways I can have the capital or the rounded capital E inside there. And, you know, maybe if I experiment enough, I'll get something that resembles something fitnessy. I think at this stage, I'm hoping maybe not, see if I can have, you know, the E and the C, but also maybe have something else fitnessy in there, like a weight or a dumbbell or something in there, because we do have that round shape and we have a bunch of lines. So I thought with this one that maybe we could have that, but I think it's just a bit too abstract at this point. So, and also, I mean, it's not necessary to have like many meanings and whatnot inside of a logo. It can just be the E, it can just be the C, it can just be pretty simple. So you don't need to go crazy with the meanings that are all within this logo. You don't need hidden everything inside there. I mean, it's cool if you do, but it's not necessary. So now here I'm trying again with that shape. I might combine it with the actual Encore text, or just having the text nearby just to see if that'll give me any more inspiration. Going back to those giant bold O shapes, and I'm trying more of the E. So I like this E shape. I like that the contrast between the little line and the super thick E part there. That's going to help me make that EC again. But I can try, making the width of that the white circle slightly different. So the outer C and the inner E can be different weights. There's so many different things here I can try. I'm working with very simple shapes, the circle and lines. So there's so many different ways I can try this. See, I like this. I like the connection at the top there between the E and the C. Although I think it might be starting to look a bit like a power on symbol for a computer. And that is not the direction I'm trying to go here at all. So again, just trying to get away from that, but keeping this idea because I do like the direction that this is going in. It's just not quite there yet, but I think if I play around with this a bit more, that will definitely get something cool. So again, my biggest issue here is that shape, or the negative shape inside, where that lowercase e makes, like a wrench shape or a hook shape or something like that. Otherwise, I think I probably would have gone a bit farther with the shape I was just working on, but that negative space part in the middle, it bothers me. So I'm gonna try seeing if I can do anything about that, maybe making the little line that makes the E, making that a bit different. I can adding actually I like this, adding the little lines at the bottom, although I don't know, it makes it seem kind of retro. I don't know why. It's just the curvy thick line shapes, going together. It's kind of retro, and I like that retro feel. I'm not sure the app specifically and the brand wants to go in a retro direction, but I like it regardless. So now here I'm playing around with the idea of, filling in that corner shape. I'm just not sure that having that empty corner really does anything for me. So I want to see what it would look like to fill it in. And I'm not really sure that works, unfortunately, but I'm still going to play around, even though that middle, it still bothers me so much. And I have to figure out how to escape that E. I don't know if you're seeing, at some point I was seeing like a muscle, like someone flexing their muscle, which would have worked, but it's not quite clear enough, so I don't think that works. So I'm gonna keep going with the actual shape of the E and the C without trying to do anything with the negative shape. And then I decide to start, tilting the logos, which can often give kind of a cool look, tilting it so it's not up and down, so the E's on a cool angle. And unfortunately, doing that, I have a check mark. And again, that's not really what I'm going for. If it was for a school, then totally. Encore Academy, then definitely. Oh, that's a cool name, actually. I should have used that for something. Oh well. So I like this, playing around with the original shape of the E and C, but adding in different division lines, just of that white line. Just playing around with those, you can really get some unique looking shapes, and it completely changes the whole logo too. Just adding in those little shapes, you have, it kind of gives the idea of different elements of the logo are overlapping each other. And I don't know, I think it looks pretty cool. I have so many logos on this page. It's crazy. So constantly creating more artboards is always a good thing. I should have just set those up in the beginning, but I didn't because I don't plan well. So again, I'm trying with the E and the C with all the different variations of these. See, in these ones, I don't know, I'm kind of seeing a bird in some of those shapes. A bird, or like an eagle, but I do really like those shapes, like a lot. Oh, they're kind of looking a bit Roman, like, what's it called? The Roman helmets and things. It kind of looks like that, or maybe that's just what I'm seeing. Who knows? But again, I'm keeping things very rough here and just doing, really, really quick ways to see how something would look. I'm trying with the capital E. I do really like that. I like how the C and the E connect at the bottom with that square. I'm not sure it's working specifically for this, but I do like it. I don't know if you see it, but what I'm kind of seeing in a lot of these is like a person. Like the E shape makes a face, and maybe the C makes an arm. Although, if you look at it like that, I think a lot of these people are just kind of putting their arms up around their head and making like a weird pose. I don't know if it's super fitnessy. So I don't need to go in that direction, but if I end up doing that, then I think it would work. So I think next, because I really like the direction that some of these shapes are going, I'm just going to keep going with this. So I've essentially, in my mind anyway, finalized the rough kind of shape or direction of the logo that I want to take it in, which essentially is just using the E and the C of Encore and trying to see what I can do with that, with a shape that is, you know, really strong and bold and something, I don't want to say manly looking, but just something that looks strong and fitnessy, but something that would also work on an app icon on your phone, as that is sort of the point of this. And then, you know, later I'll pair it with text, but I think it's just like a really simple icon is going to work really well. So at some point, you guys are going to wonder why I didn't take this in a different direction. Obviously, some of you guys are going to be like, yeah, that's what I would have done. But I mean, everyone's different. Everyone would take things in a different way. Everyone, you know, has their own unique creative methods of doing things. So the way or my process here might not be obviously how you do it, and the final logo might not be the one that you would have chosen. And that's going to be the same with clients as well. They're always, not always, but often they'll, you know, choose something that you didn't particularly like, but, you know, they love it. And I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. So, but, you know, ideally you want to get it to a place where you like it enough. It doesn't need to be the best thing ever, but you like it enough. And then obviously, more importantly, that the client either loves it or learns to love it because it fits their brand and fits, you know, their needs. So I miniaturized the logo here that I'm working on to see how it shows up when it's super, super tiny, because I was concerned about that, the curved white line in the middle. I was worried that maybe it's just a bit too, I can't even think of the word, too small, essentially, that it's not wide enough that it'll show up when it's super tiny. And I was just trying to see, you know, if a thicker logo would look, a thicker line would work better when it was tiny. So that's always a good test to see, you know, how something's going to show up when it's super tiny and when it's super big. You definitely want it to show well when it's super, super tiny as well as when it's super big. And so now here I have finalized basically the shape that I want to go with. And so I'm doing the precision method of making sure everything is absolutely perfect, and building out the shapes of the logo with the basic, you know, shapes of, you know, circle and square and lines, making sure everything is, you know, precise and aligned. And then I'm going to use the shape builder tool to actually get my final shape. Now I went with this EC shape because I thought it was just really, really simple. It's, you know, right to the point. It's the E and it's the C. It's strong, it's bold, but it doesn't have that negative space issue in the middle where you may or may not think that something's supposed to be there. You know, it doesn't look like a hook or an eagle or anything. And I'm still kind of seeing a person in there. I don't know if you are, but I am, so that works. And it's just, you know, a person doing a stretch or lifting their arm over their head. And I think that kind of works for me. It's very subtle and it doesn't really need to be there. And maybe I'm only seeing it, and that's fine because primarily it's about the E and the C. So while I am kind of finalizing this logo, I'm not 100% sure that this is exactly the direction I want to go in. So I'm going to bring in the original logo and then compare it and see what else happens from that. The issue I have with this logo currently is that little space right there, the little curve on the inside of the E. And I don't know what the issue is the problem. I'm not super happy with it. It seems, I don't know, it just seems awkward. And I don't know why, something about it. So I think at some point I'm gonna wanna change that just a little bit because I don't really know exactly what it is. It just seems off. And maybe it needs to go, you know, maybe that, the line in the E needs to go all the way through, or maybe it needs to stop a little bit earlier, or maybe just needs to, you know, not be there at all. here I'm going to try to fix it just a little bit, or maybe just see why it seems so off. And yeah, maybe it's just me, but I don't know, that little part just seems off. So I'm going to try to round it there and see how that looks. And I still don't like that at all. So we're going to try again. Now I did check to make sure it was, exactly the same curve that it should be, and it was. I just don't like how it looks. So here I'm going to see if you can go all the way through and how that looks, and if that's, even necessary. And then I'm going to add in a gradient, so which, creates that division between the curved part of the E and the straight line, which I kind of like actually. Here the C is a bit darker than the E, just for, just making them a bit different. And then later on I would add different colors to the C and the E. And then I'm making them kind of a bit more together. Now this is the shape that I really, really like. To me, it doesn't have any of the issues of the former shape, which was, the negative space issues. And more recently, it doesn't have the issue of the curve, since that straight line goes all the way through. So this is basically the final logo that I wanted to go with, that shape. Now I did round the corners. I don't know if you saw that, because the straight geometric one I didn't really like as much. It was a bit hard, but I rounded the corners ever so slightly, and it's just a bit softer, and I think it works pretty nicely. Now here I'm playing with colors, and I'm not going to play around too much with the colors because that will take me all day. And here I'm actually just going to open up that one part just a bit more, because originally the line I had there was just a bit thinner and it wasn't consistent with the top and bottom white curves. So I think, yeah, there I'm just making sure that it is exactly the same width as the curves, all the other curves. And then I'm going to put that all together and check it when it's real tiny there, make sure it works, because I want all the stroke widths on this whole logo, to be always the same. And I'm going to apply a fancy color, or, well, that's actually not a very fancy color, but I like it, so I think it'll work for this. And then, yeah, the font, I'm not really going to play around too much with the font or the text. I kind of liked the original one I went with, so I'm going to see if there are any other super quick good options here, and let's see what we've got. I'm not sure I like that font too much. It's a bit narrower than I would like. See, the original font was a bit rounder, and I kind of liked how that mimicked the actual shape of the logo or the icon. But that one, I actually like that one. The typeface there is it's a bit thinner, so it has a nice contrast between the icon and the text itself. So I'm going to play around with the colors a bit more. Again, super quick. As you see, the original logo was pretty bright, so I kind of want to follow that as well. But yeah, this is the final finished design in comparison to the original. And then here is the final logo. And then here's a mock-up we've got. And I think it works pretty well. I'm actually really, really happy with how this turned out. To me, it's strong, it's bold, it's got the E and the C, but it's not boring, it's not plain. It looks really cool and a bit tribal actually, which I kind of like. I'm not sold on, well, that bottom part, the fitness plus nutrition part. That could be a bit bigger, because I mean it's not going to work when it's small, although likely when it's small I wouldn't have anything aside from just the icon itself. But yeah, so I'll probably do a bit more with this logo in other videos. I'll maybe do a website and business cards and everything. But yeah, I hope you liked this logo process design video. I know the original logo was pretty terrible, so I could really only improve it from there. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll try to put all my font resources down there, and I mean, there's only really the one font I use, but I can't remember what it is, so I'll put it down in the description. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of the logo, if you would have done anything differently, or if you have any specific I guess things you want to see me do with this logo. Stick it on a t-shirt or a bag or whatever. It's all good. All right, thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.